production coaching call. The goal of the call is to help you sell more homes by maximizing your repeat and referral closing by implementing the referral agent mastery system into your practice. My name is Mike Cerrone, co-founder of RAMS Agents, and my co-host is Angela Newman, master trainer of RAMS Agents. Hello, Angela. How are you today?
Good morning. I am doing great. How are you guys? Cool,
Thumbs
cool.
up. Yeah. Well, fantastic. Well, thanks for joining us today. Let's go ahead and get started. First thing, real quick, we've got some announcements. One announcement, we've got Angela is going to be putting on a 3-day challenge today to learn how to do an event. And in particular, I believe it's going to be the Pi Day event. Angela, could you give us like a 60-second update on what it is and where people could go if they want to participate?
Sure. So it's a 3-day challenge starting today at 1 o'clock Central Time. It's going to last about an hour. Each day I'm going to go through a part of the Pi Day process of first planning and then marketing and then what to do on the day of the event and after the event. So you'll walk away with a pretty good plan on how you can go and host your own Pi Day, which is my goal, is that if you would like to, you'll be able to go and host your own Pi Day. And to sign up, there is a link, and I'll put it in the chat. And then I'm planning to host some of these in the future. So next time I'll make it easier link to just say, but I can't say it. It's kind of one of those really long ones.
Cool. Well, good luck with that today, Angela. I'll try to pop in and see how it's going. I'm real excited for you to put that together. I know you've done a lot of these Pi Day events in the past. You're an expert at it, and you've done them small, you've done it big. It should be really, really good. So hopefully you have a lot of folks that take advantage of that and come learn from you. All right. All right, so our other quick announcement or reminder is that Blake is going to be speaking in 9 days. He's going to be doing our Rams talk, and looking forward to that. Blake, how's that coming along?
Coming along well. We are going to be talking about the top ways to schedule your entire year through using AI in your schedule your entire year of social media posts, I should say, to kind of build your entire year of social media plan just in about 20 minutes.
That's going to be sweet. That's going to be pretty cool. And you're going to be doing that first Thursday of next month. Trying to think of the date.
That is Thursday, November 6th.
The 6th of November.
That's
Cool.
right.
All right. So we'll announce more of that when it comes along, but pretty excited for that to occur as well. So good job, Blake and Angela. Some exciting stuff here in the house. All right, let's do this. Let's go to new good news. Who's got some good news they'd like to share?
I will share. I uh, had a good conversation with one of my sellers yesterday, and we were able to discuss a price adjustment and made a price adjustment that we're going to let ride for a few weeks and see where we go from there. But that has been done and it's been all updated. We also revised, at my suggestion, we also revised this particular property is one that is we've been really presenting it more as an investment property because it is tenant occupied and it has plenty of opportunity for an investor. But I suggested we flip the script and make it, especially now with the fall, because it's in the woods and the mountains. And now with the fall, the photographs and everything of now we're turning it into a mountain retreat. That's the pitch. I mean, you still could obviously use it as investment property, but now it is becoming a mountain retreat, your private 3-acre retreat in the woods.
Cool. I can't wait to hear how that works out. So
Yes.
you're going to change the marketing approach. Where are you going to put that information? This
So
new approach.
certainly on the MLS, which will go out everywhere, of course. So the description itself is changing up. I'm also revising a YouTube video that I had prepared that was very investor focused, and that will be published as well.
Cool. What made you decide to change the approach?
Well, I was just looking for different things. I think the price adjustment will help, but I don't think it's enough to just make an investor necessarily decide, oh, now I can do that. I think it's been on the market long enough. It's been on the market a little over 2 months, and it's been on the market plenty long for, I think, for investors to have a look at it. Um, maybe there's a casual investor that might pop up on it, but anybody that's actively looking like that, I think might have already had the opportunity to see it. And I don't think the price adjustment's going to make that much difference for an investor. So I just decided to suggest we try a different approach. And it's not huge. I mean, it's still on the MLS. Photographs are the same, but we're just changing the description and changing the video as well.
Cool. Quick question. So it's a single family home.
It is.
Okay. And it's currently, or it's been rented out in the past,
Yeah, and it's currently occupied by tenants.
and it currently has a tenant in it. Is the tenant month to month?
No, no, but they do have, so we have a 60-day notice that we've got to give them.
Okay. So if somebody were to occupy it as a primary residence, they could.
Absolutely.
Okay. In your MLS, do you have uh, the option to list it in two areas, one in residential and one in income?
That's a great question, and I actually need to check that because it appears to me I can only do it in one or the other, but I need to find out. And just find, yeah, exactly. I hadn't really thought about. I just knew I had to choose one or the other when I put the listing up. But it may be that I can also list it and choose the other. If that's the case, I need to do so.
Yeah, in my market, I've seen where the same property will be listed in multiple sections of the MLS. So check with your MLS and see if they allow that, what the rules are, and see if you can put it into two areas. And then you can actually create two plans, right? One for
Right.
income property and one as owner occupied.
Yeah, and they can run simultaneously. That's a great idea. I will find out because that would be leaving a valuable tool on the table if I don't.
Yes. And just remember, if you get to the end, to adjust both of them, i.e. it
Sure.
sells or it's withdrawn or whatever happens, because that's how I kind of discovered it recently is with expireds. They'll act on one, maybe close one, but they forget about the other one, and then it looks like it's an expired. And
Oh, yeah.
so, yeah,
Good
but
tip.
check that out. All right, good job. Thank you for sharing, Blake, and good luck with that.
Thank you.
All right, who else has some good news?
I have some good news. Yesterday, hold on a second. Hold on a second. Yesterday, I was door knocking and I met this lady, and she's looking for a tenant for her basement. So I sent her the listing agreement yesterday. So I'll follow up today and see what comes of that. But that's some good news.
That's great news, Tristan. Good job. Tristan's finding business at the door. And in fact, I think your other piece of good news was you just closed on a listing that you found by door knocking this year, just like I think you said 2.5 months ago. Does that sound right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fantastic as well. Good job. And again, so now you're going to take this lady and you looked for kind of a partial win there, right? It's not a sale, but it's a lease. And by doing that, you're going to build out the relationship with her. She's going to become a past client of yours. This is great. This is good stuff. She can become a referral.
Laughing.
Thanks, Mike.
Yeah, that's good news. Anytime we can help somebody, that's good stuff. All right, good job. Tristan, anybody else have some good news?
Well, I'll just share something that I got a call yesterday from, she's never actually been a client, but she's been a longtime friend. And she had a house built a few years ago, but she's working on refinancing it. And she texted me and said, can I talk to you about a business question? And when we talked on the phone, she said, I wanted somebody that I could trust and that knows about real estate and refinancing and things like that. And so even though it's not going to turn into a transaction right now, and she is on my communications list and stuff like that. So it just made me feel good that she thought of me when she wanted to figure out what was going on.
That's fantastic, Angela. Good job.
Thank you.
Yeah, the trusted expert. All right, cool. Let's see. Last week, I had some good news. I got real busy, which was fun. Had 3 offers come in on 2 different properties. Negotiated one to under contract, cash closing in 8 days from the time it went under contract. So we're working on putting that together. So that was good. The other thing, and I had another buyer that wanted that property as well, but I discovered they had some hiccups in their approach. You got to do a lot of research. It's just going to be my big general recommendation. Make sure you dig into your buyers when they come in. If you're working on a listing, vet them, make sure that they can qualify financially. That actually happened on a different deal. But anyway, make sure that they qualify in all their parameters. For instance, the one that we put on hold was they wanted to sell another property and it was going to be contingent, which my seller was willing to talk to them about because we're in a slower market. But when I started asking questions about what they wanted to put the price of the home on the market, they were going to put their home on the market at a certain price. They hadn't done it yet. And they said, oh, it's going to sell quickly. And I did some quick research and found out the value of the property is $408. And they wanted to put it on the market at $575. Like, I think we got a huge discrepancy here, and my seller's not going to wait around for you to figure it out. So we decided to just say, we were very polite to them and said, we think that it'd be great to talk to you in the future after you get your home on the market and get it under contract. So they can experiment on their own time. So sometimes it's valuable to your clients not to lock them up in something they can't work out of and lose other opportunities. So make sure that you remember that as our market slows down and your sellers are become, quote, desperate, or I'm not, desperate's not the right word, but needy, that you're going to want to have things happen. You're going to have to be the voice of reason and really dig and make sure that these deals have a high probability of closing. So that was one. The other one was on a different property where the buyer came in a little bit low, but we're ready to negotiate that back up. But I did my due diligence on that one too. And I called up the lender, and the lender's like, oh yeah, these people are ready to go, no problem. And I didn't stop there because I had a lender letter and everything, and I started digging into it. And tried to get all the particulars of where this person was, this buyer, this borrower. It turns out they just filled out their loan application. And so no verifications were done yet. That's fine, but I just needed to know that. And the other issue was way down in the corner on the lender letter, it stated, hey, this person needs to sell a house in order to qualify for this. Well, that wasn't in the contract. The contract didn't say that it was contingent on selling another property. And the agent the buyer agent didn't recognize that was an issue. But by me digging a little bit, I found that out. And the lender then, by the way, I'm talking to the lender in the late part of the day, and the lender's saying, oh yeah, but she's going to qualify with both of those loans at the same time, no problem. She can own both homes at the same time. I'm like, okay, great. She must be a really strong buyer. I've seen that before. I told the lender, please rewrite your lender letter stating that she can qualify for both properties and send that over to me. And he said, sure, can I do it in the morning? And I said, sure, no problem, do that. The next day he sends me an email. I ran the numbers and I was wrong. She cannot qualify for both properties. She must sell the other property. So, okay, then I start digging into that. What's going on with the other property? Oh, it's under contract. It's ready to close. Okay, great. Let me see the copy of the contract. Oh, we can't get you the copy. Yeah, it just became this quagmire where people will tell you A and A is not correct. B is correct. You have to dig and find out what's going on. So I wouldn't put my seller into that transaction because I don't know the probability of it closing. I can't get enough information. In the meantime, on that one, another little lesson that popped out is I was talking to my seller the whole time, and she was concerned that the value had come in low, the offer had come in low. And I said, hey, no problem, let's counter. She's like, well, let's just reject it. Before we knew these other challenges, I said, let's not reject it, let's counter. And I designed a counter that would bring her right back up to full price as far as her net proceeds. We worked in some closing costs and other things, but that was basically the way I designed it so that she would net exactly what she would have netted at a full price offer. I said, let's do this counter and send it back. And she said, no. I said, well, why not? And she said, that just won't work for me anymore. I said, okay, so let me think about this. We're sitting on the market. We've got this price. If you get this price and everything you want, you're telling me you won't accept it. Why are we working together? Why am I trying to sell this property? So after I had her think about it overnight and she came back with that same answer, I said, I think it's time for us to part ways. I can't get your home sold. I cannot satisfy your needs, getting your home sold at full price and you don't want to accept it. So I think we're done, right? And so I dropped that listing. So that's the other thing to keep in mind. You have to make good business decisions, even though emotionally they seem really weird. I'd invested a lot of time and effort into the thing. And so you might make mistakes thinking emotionally and not logically, myself included. So I had to really capture myself and say, what are we trying to accomplish here? Well, we're trying to sell this property. If she won't accept a full price offer, there's really nothing more to do. Anyway, so those are just some things that I went through last week. It was fun getting back into the swing of things in an active role. And the big lesson there, I think, is do your research. Do your research before you put people into contracts, right? You're going to save time in the long run. Okay. All right. Let's do this. Let's open up for any challenges or issues or topics that you would like to speak about or have the mastermind talk about and think about. Any challenges you're running into this week, any objectives you would like to have put out there and have us talk about, anything that you want to talk about here. We're kind of opening up the session.
Okay, so I got a situation. So I have some clients and they've been trying to sell their home now for maybe 5 weeks, going on 6 weeks. You got to be quiet for a second. And we've had an offer on the first day on the market, and I think they got overly excited and they were countered back like ridiculously high. And then those people ended up buying a home like 2 days after. And then time goes on, and maybe 3 weeks later, we got another offer that was quite similar to the first offer that we got, maybe 2,000 less. And they negotiated, they countered back a bit more reasonable. But again, that deal didn't come together. and they felt like it was still early on the market and they wanted to see with the price reduction if we can start getting some more traffic. And last week we had someone that was interested, but they were in at 100,000 less than what my clients wanted to sell for. So it was the lowest offer that we've gotten to this point. So they outright rejected that. But I've reached back out to the second offer that we had got. No, it's not a skeleton, just wait. And they're still interested in buying the property because they haven't found a home. But I've got my clients down to where they're now willing to take 1,350,000. And these people are at 1,320,000. So I'm supposed to meet with them this evening to encourage them to seriously consider this offer. And what I had in mind with my presentation to them is to let them know that with it being a buyer's market and them also having to buy, that difference that they may be not getting on their sale, when it's now time for us to buy, we can make up that difference. Daddy. So I'm just curious if I'm on the right track or any perspective or insights you guys think that can maybe help this conversation go more smooth.
Very good. That's a great problem to have. Congratulations. And you are very close with the parties. Good job bringing that back alive, reviving that old buyer and their interest in the property. It was really smart of you. Your sellers should give you an extra bonus for doing that. That's pretty good. When your client is going to repurchase, are they purchasing a more expensive property than they currently in or a less expensive property?
Much less expensive. They're buying a condo, and right now they have a like 4-bedroom detached house, and they're
Okay,
going to
so
buy
they're
like a
they're
2-bedroom
downsizing.
condo. Yeah.
Okay, so the reason I asked that is if you're in a market that's, let's say, it's declining by 10%, we'll just make a number up. Whatever it's declining by, it's a percentage, find the decline in the percentage. And if they were going to be moving up to a bigger home, then the argument is, hey, if you lose 10% on your $1 million home, you lose 100,000. But the $2 million home came down 200,000. So you're making it up. You've got a great deal there, right? So if they're moving in the same market or if they're moving to another market, but if they're moving to another market that's more valuable when prices are falling, then that's an advantage to them. You've got the flip. So it's actually not an argument to make in this situation, or maybe you just bring it up and you share it with them. But if they lose 100,000 on the sale of the bigger home, they're only going to make up, a gain of 50,000 on the smaller home. And so it's not advantageous for them in that scenario. Now, by the way, if you're in an upward moving market, the opposite is true as well. So keep that in mind. That's why you're trying to think about the percentages and is it moving, are they buying a more expensive home or a less expensive home? In this scenario, I think you probably want to focus on how close they are to each other when you get there. Before you get there, I think what you need to get into is the motivation of your client, right? Like my story earlier, my seller lost the motivation to sell. Well, once that happens, there's really nothing to do. I can't force this person to sell. So you've got to dig into the motivation. Why does your client want to move from this big house to a small condo, right? What are the advantages to them? What's driving them to do that? You want to ask them that. Don't tell them, ask them. Say, tell me again, why do you want to move to the condo? I'm just trying to make sure I understand. You have to get their minds spinning through why they want to move, what their motivation is. Okay. And they'll tell you, right? We're done with the yard. This is too much space for us. We want to be closer to the grandkids. Whatever their purposes are, ask and then dig a couple deeper, right? Oh, okay. Why will that be good for you? What's the advantage there? Um, and maybe even a couple more of, is there any other reason why you'd want to move there? Is there any other reason to get a smaller place? Again, remind me, I'm trying to make sure we're doing this correctly, and we really are trying to make sure we're doing this correctly. Find out exactly what all their reasons are, get them thinking it through, and then you do the reverse, which is, well, what happens if you don't move there? What happens if you don't move there by the date? That would be the other part of the motivation, by the way, is when do they want it to happen by? For instance, we're coming up on the end of the year. You'd be surprised how many people have that as a goal, either personally as a goal to have it happen before the end of the year or before a holiday, or maybe there's a tax reason they need to have it happen before the end of the year. Okay, especially when you're working with investors. But there may be a reason why the timing is important for when they make this move. And once you discover that, then you say, well, what happens if you don't get the move done by then? Let them tell you the challenge it will or won't be. They may say, oh, well, it's no big deal. Or they may say, oh, I have a huge problem now. I need this to happen. See, that's going to help them decide whether they're willing to narrow the gap of the $30,000 gap you talked about. Right? And in the big picture of things, coming back to the numbers, that gap is so small at $30,000. Have they found a property that they like? Like, have they said, have you shown them any properties that they could move to yet? Or have they seen any online that they've asked about? If that's true, you bring that up. Boy, if we could narrow this gap, you could move over to ABC Street. We could get you over there probably in the next 30 days. Would that be an advantage for you? Would that work for you? Notice, again, I hope this keeps coming through, questions. Keep asking questions. You know that show Jeopardy? You got to phrase your answer in the form of a question. Well, that's what you have to do in these interviews. You can't be talking the whole time like I'm doing right now. You've got to be asking them questions and get them talking.
That's powerful. Thank you, Mike. There was a question that you had said that I forgot. The first one you said was, tell me again why you want to move to the condo. I just want to make sure I'm thoroughly understanding. And then what did you say after that? It was before you said, again, remind me, as I want to make sure we're doing this correctly. There was something you said that was like the second question. Do you remember what it was?
Not off the top of my head. However, I would add, that is number one. Why do you want to move? What is the advantage? What will this do for you? The second part is the timing. So there's two parts or three parts. Why do you want to move? When do you want to be there? So that's timing. And then the third part is, what happens if you don't move? What happens if you don't move there or don't move there by that time? I call it putting people in harm's way. You know, it's kind of like they walked out in front of a bus and you're going to pull them back before the bus hits them.
Okay, I like this. This is good to not be talking so much and instead ask the questions to get them thinking about their motivation. It's a good idea, Mike.
Let me give you another reason why you want to do it this way. If you sit there instead and you come about it by saying, hey, we're only 30 grand apart. Come on, you need to do this. Let's just give them a little bit. People are going to resist. They're going to push against that. This guy's trying to force me into losing 30 grand. Oh man, the dynamics are all messed up. It's going to be very difficult to get the move, to get them to move to the middle or anywhere, right? They're going to dig their heels in over a silly thing, right? But don't do that. Go to their motivation. What's the advantage for them? What's the win for them? The win for them is to get rid of this big, I'm assuming, a big overbearing house. Let them tell you what the problems are. Here's another great question, and it's a good one on listings, and you may just bring it up at this point. and agents are scared to do this, but I'm telling you, you need to find out what the real answer is. And usually it goes well for you. Ready? Just say something like this. This is a beautiful home. Why don't you just stay here? You're right, that buyer, they're coming in low. Let's just have you stay here. Why don't you just stay here for the next 10 years? It's a beautiful place. I mean, it's one of their options. Throw it out there. They will tell you why they don't want to stay there. Okay? They're going to push against that by saying, oh, well, Tristan, we can't stay here because it's got the stairs. And remember, Sheila, she can't do stairs anymore. Her knee, she just had knee surgery, right? We can't do the stairs no more. We got to get out of this place. Whatever their motivation is, I don't know their motivation. You got to find out what it is. But they're going to tell you if you say, well, why don't you just stay here then? You can't say it in a mean way, by the way. Just say, hey, this is a beautiful home. Why not just stay here? And then they will tell you why they want to move to that condo.
Got it. Thank you, Mike.
Yeah. All right. Anybody else have some advice for Tristan? This is a great one. We're going to see more and more of these kind of things, right? As we're trying to negotiate in a market where the players are becoming more even, right? When it's a hot seller's market, that seller has all the power and they can kind of force things on the buyer. Now we're moving into an even market, or even the opposite, where the buyer is picking up more power. And so we have to figure out how to position our people in these situations. Angela, Blake, got anything else for Tristan?
So I'm not familiar with your market, where you're at as a buyer's market, but when it was a big buyer's market in the past, what we found was that the first offer most of the time was going to be the best offer. And the longer that you're on the market, you start stagnating, and the offers that you get will, because of a lot of things, the market continually declining, being on the market for a long time, perception of what the buyers see it as. And so that was something that we would kind of tell people when they got their first offer, and just say, in our experience in this market, your first offer is often going to be your best offer. And just to let them know that. But and that has been true in how it came in with your client. So that's one thing. The second thing is I think that, like, you have to be kind of an advisor as far as helping them peel the onion and figure out what they want, because in the end, of course we want to help them sell the house, but if that's not the best thing for them, then we want the best thing for them. So, like, going through what Mike just shared, that's awesome. And then maybe at the end, helping them make that decision and going back into the OCR of, okay, so this is what we just talked about. And so your options, are that you can accept this offer the way it is. You could try to negotiate a little bit more, or you could just stay in the house, and maybe this isn't the best time for you to sell and you want to stay here for the next 10 years. But based off of what we just spent time talking about and what you've told me, because you've been listening to what they're saying, and they talked about the stairs, or they talked about their timing and all those different factors, this is what I recommend, is that we still have this buyer who is very interested, and they are emotionally attached to your house. They love it. This could be the best offer that you get. We don't know. We don't have a crystal ball, but based off of my experience. So it sounds like you really are motivated to sell, or I wouldn't say motivated, but you really do want to sell. And it is important that you get into a new condo by this amount of time. So my recommendation is that we should really try to work with this buyer, and then go into that. And then, so what is best for you, or what would you like to do? And then see if they lead them through that decision making.
Thanks, Angela.
Those are good points. Good job, Angela. The idea that you're going to get your best offer in your first offer is a long-standing idea, and it's usually correct. Not always, but it usually is correct. I'll say when it's not always, if you're in a really fast-moving market where you're getting multiple offers, usually the second, third, and fourth, you can pump that up. It's all but very quickly as the home is coming into the market. Angela's statement about the first offer being the best in a regular market where you might not see another offer for 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks like you're experiencing now, it's probably correct. And the time to tell somebody that, in my opinion, is at the listing agreement. At the listing agreement, you warn them, you say, hey, in the future here, as we're going on the market, the first offer we get probably going to be our best. So just keep that in mind. And then days later, weeks later, whatever, you get the offer, you're like, oh, here's our first offer. This is probably going to be our best one. Remember, we already told you that. And let's take a look at this one, see what we can do with it. Okay, so that's where that first offer thing, you can work that in. You're already past that. Really proud about how you brought the other buyers back in. That was smart. Bring it back at buyer number 2. The other thing I'll tell you is, final thought here, for me at least, is your client, your seller now is gone through the school of hard knocks. I used to call it the school of hard knocks for clients, either buyer or seller. Your buyer thinks they're going to get a great deal and they're making all these lowball offers and nobody's accepting. They're going through the school of hard knocks, getting rejected. Your seller was out there, they turned down the first offer. They countered and they couldn't come together on the first offer, the second offer. I think your third offer just completely reject. I mean, they're learning, okay, well, things ain't coming together. I thought I was going to sell my house in one day and now I'm already 2 months into this thing. Right? They're in the school of hard knocks, and the school of hard knocks makes people become more reasonable if they have motivation. That's why we start with motivation. If they have no motivation, it's not going to matter. So that's why you want to keep digging back into the motivation and bringing it back up. Get them to say what the motivation is more powerful than you saying it.
I like that. Thank you.
And I've seen many times where the seller said, let's just pull it off the market or whatever. But you stay in touch with them a year later, 2 years later, they change their mind. You build that rapport, you help them again, you sell it, help them sell. And so.
Yeah, let me give you one on that. If you were to say, hey, why don't you just stay here? Why don't you just pull it off the market and stay here? And they're in an emotional state and they say, okay, yeah, let's do that. And the answer then is, I understand. Why don't we do this? Okay, now I'm stepping back. Why don't we do this? Why don't you think about it overnight? Let's talk about it in the morning and let's find out what you've decided for sure. Okay, I just want you to think about it tonight. Let's not make a rash decision, and we'll come back tomorrow. And if you say tomorrow you want it off the market, I'll come pick up the sign. We'll be done. But if tomorrow morning you decide you want to do something different, let me know. A lot of times when they come back off that, they're positioning themselves in their mind about the pros and the cons of their situation. They're talking to their spouse. They're working through it. They'll often come back the next morning and go, you know what? I really don't want to pull it off. I really want to sell. Me and my wife, we're ready to move forward. What do we need to do? Right? They've had time to think about it. And whichever the cooler of the two heads probably talked to the others and got them back down to an even keel. Right? So that's the step away as well. Okay. That's a technique you can use all over the place.
I think that one requires a bit of courage because I want to take it off the market now and put in so much work, money, time. Want to get this sold, to put it out there. I don't know if I'm ready to take that step yet, Mike, and suggest that, but I'll try with this motivation aspect first and see how that goes for sure.
What you got to do, Tristan, and I appreciate you, and I really thank you for saying that because all of us go through that emotional experience you just talked about as an agent. See, let's bring in our emotions. Our emotions is we want to get this sold for just because we want to get it done, or we need the money, or whatever the reason is. This is how we get paid. We get paid by helping these people sell their house, not just put it on the market. And so from us personally, we want X, Y, and Z. We want the commission. We want the closing. Let's just be honest. All right. I don't know if I'm unique in this. I don't think I'm unique, but I know not everybody thinks like me. I just remove myself somehow from that. I don't know how I do it, but I've always done it. No matter what my situation was, I just remove myself from that. And I just get into their world and I stand in their shoes. Okay. And I just think, if this was the situation, what needs to happen? Like I told you, the lady the other day where I just said, it's the end of the listing because I stood in her shoes, and from her perspective, there's no sale here. I'm like, well, then we need to end this. Not me, Mike, wanting to get a sale so I can tell everybody I sold a home, right? It's she needs it to be over. And so I just stood in her shoes and said, okay, well, that's the natural conclusion. And I asked her, do you want this to be over? And she's like, yeah. I said, well, then that's what we're going to do, right? It's done. So you have to be willing to step back and not be, there's phrases that we've heard, right? Not be attached to the outcome. I guess that's one of them. I know it's very difficult not to be attached to the outcome because it's your income. But my experience, when you do that, that's when great things happen. Okay. When you remove yourself and you let them figure it out, and you're just there as an advisor walking them through the options, that's when they're like, that's when they trust you. Okay. That's when they realize you're not in it just to make a quick buck. You're really trying to figure out what's the best thing for them. Right? You're an advisor. Think about it one other way. If there was an agent out there who was going to help your mom do something, buy, sell, whatever, would you want that person trying to force your mom into doing something? Or would you want them taking their time, stepping back, walking your mom through the options, and letting your mom decide what to do, whether she's a fast decision maker or a slow decision maker, because everybody's got a different personality, whatever it is? When you just want someone to be really kind and just sit back and say, here are the options, like Angela was talking about. Here are your options. Here are what the consequences of those options would be. And here's my recommendation. What would you like to do? Do you want to make the decision now? Would you like to take some time and think about it? We can talk in the morning. What would you like to do?
Yeah, but I was taking that approach at the beginning, and I felt like it was to the detriment of my clients because in reality, I think I should have pushed harder for them to seriously entertain the first offer because the amount that they would have bought for is higher than the minimum that they're willing to take now. But I think at the time they couldn't see that, so I think you're right in terms of the softer approach is the right approach because they need to reach that decision themselves, even if at the end it results in more money.
This is a great one. This is a great learning experience for you. So, a bunch of thoughts. One, you now have a great story. You have a great story. No matter what the conclusion to this is, you have a great story to use next time. Next time you're in the situation and you're working with a seller and they get their first offer and their knee-jerk reaction is to kick it out, you can say, I understand, Tristan, you can do whatever you want. Whatever you decide is good with me. Can I tell you a story? Let me tell you about Jack and Sheila. Jack and Sheila were just sitting in their home. They were trying to sell just like you. They got their first offer and they kicked it out. Then they didn't get another offer for 2 weeks. That one didn't come together. 2 months later, they got an offer. It was X amount below where they originally would have got the first offer, but now they're more needy and desperate to try to get it together. And so they are now entertaining an offer that's 50, 100,000, whatever below what that first offer was. I don't want to see you in that same position. So my advice is to see if you can work this out. Do what you want, but that's my advice.
I like that approach. Thanks, Mike.
Yeah. So you've got this great story to bring back in. You're currently now working with these people. Here's one other thought. Their third offer, I think you said they just completely rejected it. Yeah, I would always advise my people to not reject. Not reject. I'd say, I understand that you want to reject the offer. It came in low. It's not what you expect. My advice, a lot of people will throw a number out because a family member told them to do something, or they saw it on late night television or something, some reason they wanted to throw an offer out that was low. That's okay. You might want to throw an offer out that's low in the future, and that's okay. But the fact is, they may be willing to pay full price. They just wanted to test you and see what was going to happen. Instead of getting rid of this buyer, because by the way, I've qualified the buyer. I've talked to their lender. I've talked to the agent. They don't have a home to sell. They're going to be buying with this kind of financing or this kind of cash. I've done all that due diligence. We have a real buyer here. My recommendation is you at least counter, even if you counter back at full price and you say, this is my full price, this is what I'm going to do. At least give them the opportunity to come in at full price and pay you what you want. Is that fair? Let's just take an hour and let's go ahead and write up a counter and get it over to them. Okay. I would often bring in a story because I've got millions of these little stories. I'll share my story. I was working with a buyer. They came in low. I think it was 50,000 low at the time on like a 350 house, maybe 400,000 house. They came in 50 grand below, and the seller just rejected them. The other agent rejected them and was mean to me in my face. And I relayed that to the buyer, and the buyer said, well, fine. And they went and bought another property. But I know my buyer was willing to pay full price for that home. I know it. I can visualize the property in my head right now. They were ready to pay full price. They just wanted to test the market first. They just wanted to test and see if there was any room there to negotiate. So see how I'm sharing the story with you? The stories, even I didn't give a very good story. I only gave you a couple of the highlights. I didn't give you all the details. I didn't color it in. It's just enough of the story for people to get the idea. And you can do that too. You share just these little tidbits of the story and get to a conclusion. They're powerful.
Thanks, everyone. I feel more confident now about this meeting.
You're going to do great, Tristan. Just go in there to help them. If you go in with that attitude, they'll read that off of you, and you guys will work it out. However it's supposed to work out.
Got you.
Yeah. All right, cool. I met this guy yesterday to return a sign. We have a sign company that puts signs up and takes them down. And I had to take a panel out of that condo I was talking about that they decided to pull off the market. And so I had to meet the sign guy for having to pick up the sign. And he's this very high eye, off the chart eye. He's got the wrong job. He's driving around by himself. He's like, I'm so lonely. I'm like, yeah, you are in the wrong job. He's driving around not talking to anybody. So he's talking my ear off. And but anyway, he told me a story, and he told me a story in like 3 or 4 sentences, and I got the entire story. And he told me the story in like 20 seconds. Here's the story, best I can remember it. He said, yeah, I had to go, I went to put up a sign at a house for sale. I got there a day early. A man came out of the house yelling and screaming at me that he didn't want me to put a sign up and didn't know why I was there. He got on the phone. called his wife, and that's when she informed him they were getting a divorce. How powerful was that story and your emotions? Did your emotions just swing when you heard that story? That was my
Yeah.
emotions. I'm like, whoa. But how quick did I just tell you the story? Less than a minute? It doesn't have to be a long story to make a real impression.
Mm, it's true.
Okay. All right. Any of this helpful today? How we doing? Okay. Anybody have any other things you want us to chat about as we're coming to the end? All right, Tristan, I'm excited for you. What are the 3 things I told you to do when you go back and talk to your seller?
Just really take myself out the situation and put their best interest at the forefront. Ask a lot of questions and not speak too much, and share a story to relay my point.
Excellent. Excellent. And in the questions, there are 3 questions to ask. Do you remember what they are?
Why do they want to move? When do they want to move? And what will their life be like at the condo?
Good. Third one, what happens if they don't move? It's the reverse. It's the reverse. Think of a word in your mind that makes it, I call it the reverse. You're doing the opposite. Okay. So why do they want to move? When do they want to move? What happens if they don't move? You have to ask them, what happens if the move doesn't occur when you want it to happen? They'll tell you. Yeah. Cool. Get those out of the way first, then go into the details of the 30 grand gap you're trying to close on a $1.35 million house. Yeah. That is, it's logically, you guys should be able to close that gap.
Yeah, but sometimes logic isn't the prevailing emotion in these negotiations.
Exactly. And that's why you dig into the emotion. That's why you dig into the motivation.
Got you.
That's their emotion. That's their emotion that's driving them. That's exactly right. Once you get them connected to that emotion and what they're trying to do, they're more likely then to make it work if that's what they want to do. Or they'll never make it work and they're going to back out. Better to find out now. Right?
Got you. All right.
So you're afraid that if they say no and they just want to stay or they don't want to sell, you'll lose money. But you are going to lose money and time if they don't want to sell.
True.
Better
Better to
find out
find out
now.
now than down the road. Yeah.
Exactly. All right, good. All right, everybody. Thank you for being here for the production call. Again, hope it was helpful. Let's do this. Let's go ahead and shift into our huddle. Number 1 thing you did yesterday to move your business forward. Number 1 thing you're going to do today. Who would like to start?
I'll start, please. Number 1 thing yesterday was door knocking. Number 1 thing today is getting my newsletter out. I wanted to do it yesterday, but then I had a showing and then they got away from me. So today, that's my number 1 priority. The month's coming to an end, so I got to get that out.
Good, good. And let me remind you just a quick thought on that. Do your newsletter early morning or late evening, not during your productive hours. Right? During your productive hours, you should be doing door knocking because there's only certain hours you can do that, right?
Yeah, I agree. But then when I push it into the evening and things pop up, then it's like it doesn't get done. So it's a few days now I've already. So today I just got to buckle down and get that out first thing before anything else.
All right, good job, Tristan. Good job. And that's your follow-up to all the people you're putting in your database, yes?
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
How many people in that database now?
About 400 from the doors and 300 from PCSOI.
Wow. 400 from the doors. I'll just remind you some of that math real fast. The 400 from the doors, those are people you don't know well. They're not your PCSOI. And so if you stay in touch with them, you should get 1% closing per year. 1% closing per year. Continuous year after year after year, just like your PCSOI keeps kicking off, but your PCSOI, if done right, is going to kick off at like 10% per year. but your general database will kick off at about 1% per year. You've already got 400 people in there. So statistically, you stay in touch with them. How many closings is that over the next year?
At least four, yeah.
At least four. And what's your average commission?
Like 20,000.
We're talking 80 grand year after year after year after year moving forward because you were knocking on them doors and making them connections.
Thanks for
Keep
the
knocking
insight,
those
Mike.
doors, keep building that database, right?
Will do.
All right, cool. Good job. All right, who's next?
My number one thing yesterday was having that discussion with my seller and making the marketing adjustment and price adjustment on the listing. Number one thing today, I've got a couple of people I'm following up with, but I've decided my number one thing is going to be getting myself ready for Pi Day and starting the challenge. That's going to be number one.
Fantastic. Good job, Blake. Good job. All right, Angela, go for it.
Yesterday, I door knocked 25 doors. I had 6 conversations and got the addresses. I did not get phone numbers, but I am going to mail cards and things like that and then invite them to future home buying events. And today, I'm going to be doing the Pi Day presentation. So that's my number one goal.
Fantastic. Good job, Angela. Way
Way
to
to
knock
go.
some doors. What do you think about that, Tristan?
I love it.
It was surprisingly fun yesterday. I would say all 6 people were really, really nice. Didn't get one grouchy person. In fact, I went with 2 other ladies, and to be safe, we hit the street and we broke it up, But one of the ladies knocked on a door of someone that she knows that works for a new builder. And so we all got to meet them and kind of figure out how we could collaborate with stuff. So anyway, it was really cool.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's surprising how nice people are at the door. I always like the door better than the phone because you can see people, you can react with them. And I think also the grouchy people don't answer the door. They stay inside.
There were a couple that after I walked off, like the door would open really fast and then I could see my thing was gone and I was like, oh, okay, well.
That's good.
I like another aspect of what Angela was talking about. Not only is she knocking the doors, just like doing the Tristan thing there, but I love the teamwork. She went for not only for security reasons, but without a doubt, that became encouragement and accountability. I mean, if your teammate is across the street knocking on a door, you're going to go and knock on this door.
Most definitely, because it was hot. It was like in the upper 80s, and so we motivated each other for sure.
Fantastic. Now, you said you met 6 people, you got some information. Did you add them to your database for follow-up?
I have their addresses. So I need to get better at asking for their phone number and their emails. So
Tristan,
Just
how do you do that?
yeah. I want to help you. So something that really helped me that changed the whole game for me was, would it be okay if we stayed in touch? And like if you're having a good conversation, more times people are going to be like, yeah, okay. And then you hit them with what's the best email for you? And don't look up and they'll start telling you. And then you do that. And then you're like, and if I have to call you, and then the more times they're going to give you the number too. And then when they you don't get the number, don't get discouraged, because I made that mistake and I pushed through and then I'm surprised, like, oh, they're really giving me the number. So don't be afraid to get that rejection. But yeah, you have nothing to lose by asking. But would it be okay if we stayed in touch? That's a gold gem right there. That line is gold.
good. That's a good reminder because in my presentation, I'm going to share a little script, but that's even a very simpler version of it. So I might modify my presentation too. But yes. And I think that if I had like a door knocking cheat sheet that I laminated, and anytime I was going to door knock, it had like that script on it, and it had like just some tips that I could remember, because it's kind of like each time I went, I was starting over, and I'm like, okay, okay, what's my goal? What am I doing? What am I going to say? But yeah, so maybe you can help us put together a door knocking cheat sheet for people.
Yeah, sure.
That's great. And when I used to do it, I used to have a clipboard and I have my script there, script on the top, and I have my check
Yeah.
boxes underneath. So I was checking out how many I was knocking on and how many were answering the door. Um,
I
yeah,
had the clipboard. I just missed the question. So yeah.
that's all right. So
Thank you,
then you'll know
Justin.
next time. Yeah, cool. But good job getting out there. That's fantastic. And good luck with the presentation today. Good news. Let's see. Yesterday I worked on keeping my deal on track, trying to learn all these little systems and system changes we have with our company. So keeping that on track. I also reached out to a couple of investors about a listing that I'm working on to get them to go take a look at it, to try to stimulate some activity there, to get us some cash offers. So did that, and then this today I'll do the same. I'll continue on both of those tracks. Yeah. Everybody, good job. Thank you for being here today on the call. Hope you have a fantastic and productive rest of your day and rest of your week.
Be great, y'all. See you tomorrow.